Tonight, we reveal which departments will get the biggest boost in budget. Tariffs on importation of vehicles 15 years or older. And the Niue Football Association elects new executive with Ricky Makani as the president. Whakaalawhalahi atu and welcome to our bulletin of BCN News. I'm Esther Pavihi and a special whakaalawha atu to our listeners and viewers from across the region. Thanks to our friends and partners at Pacifica TV. Tonight, we reveal the departments that will receive an increase in budget in the new financial year. As announced by the Minister of Finance last week, the largest expenditure of the government is to cover the cost of salaries of its workforce and the cost of social services. In the new budget, which starts on the 1st of July, the Departments of Health and Education and the Public Service Commission will receive the highest boost in budget. The Health Department will receive the highest increase in this budget with just under $888,000 or 26% increase in its budget. The Department of Justice, Land Surveys and Community Affairs will increase their budget by 12% or just under $860,000. The Education Department's budget is also boosted by an additional $500,000 with an increase of 11%. The Public Service Commission will receive a 30% increase to its budget with an additional $749,000 increase. The Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet will also receive 21% increase or just under $350,000. The Niue Assembly will also receive an increase of 15% or an additional $200,000 to its budget. The budgets for the departments of Niue Power, Civil Inquiry and the Department of Transport will all receive over $200,000 increases to their annual budgets. The only department with the large decrease in budget this year is bulk fuel. The bulk fuel budget is reduced to $5.8 million compared to last year. The Department of Bulk Fuel spent over $10 million in this current financial year. Meanwhile, the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee identified in its report to the Assembly system-wide challenges affecting the effective use of public resources. The report identified misalignment between appropriations and actual cash availability, inconsistent planning and project justification, and underutilized or aging government assets and infrastructure. According to the committee's report, several recurring themes emerge from the consultations with departments. These include staff shortage remains a persistent challenge, with multiple departments reporting difficulty in recruiting and retaining skilled personnel to deliver essential services. Cash flow constraints were commonly cited as impediments to timely implementation of planned activities, even where appropriations had been approved. Asset maintenance and asset management, including the procurement, upkeep, and utilization of machinery and equipment, was also identified as a key operational risk. Uncoordinated in-year spending plans proved challenging and limiting Treasury's ability to effectively manage liquidity and prioritize funding. Next week, we will continue with our Budget 2025-2026 series and discuss the recommendations from the Public Accounts Committee for each government agency. More than 100 women journalists and media practitioners congregated at the Grand Pacific Hotel in Suva last week for the first Women in Media Pacific Conference, hosted by Women in Media Fiji. The idea for Pacific women working in the media industry to meet, share experiences, and support each other was mooted back in 2021. Since then, Women in Media Fiji was established and became the driving force for the inaugural conference. Led by editor of Fiji Sun, Rosi Tamani Dovirata, the conference was supported by more than 10 major sponsors and partners, including the Australian government through its ABC International Development Program called the Pacific Media Assistance Scheme, or PACMAS. The conference was supported by seasoned journalists and newsroom leaders like Stanley Simpson of MyTV, Fred Wesley of Fiji Times, and Felix Chandri of Fiji Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the story. The two-day conference started with a traditional ceremony, and I was invited to take part in the kava ceremony, an honor given to the visiting journalists from Polynesia, Micronesia, and Melanesia. The conference was officially opened by Fiji's Minister for Women, Honourable Sashi Kiran. Seasoned journalists joined by young and emerging female journalists from Fiji and the region listen to presenters talk about AI, leadership in newsrooms, life insurance and financial independence, as well as sharing stories and experiences faced by women journalists. International Fijian lawyer Ana Tuiketei highlighted alarming statistics of women in media having to endure sexual harassment, intimidation, and online bullying. 2 out of 3 women working in media in Fiji endure some form of harassment on the job. Journalists from Papua New Guinea shared their stories of gender-based violence because of the work they do. Also revealed by newsroom leaders in Fiji, anecdotal evidence that newsrooms have the highest number of single mothers, a result of broken relationships due in part to the long working hours and the demands of the job. The conference also provided the opportunity for editors and newsroom leaders to meet and network to develop an enabling and safe working environment for women in media in the Pacific. Australia's Pacific Media Assistance Scheme made it possible for women journalists and media practitioners from Kiribati, Tonga, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu and Niue to join our counterparts from Papua New Guinea and Fiji at this conference. If you're thinking of importing to Niue vehicles that are 15 years and older, you are reminded that import duties will be applied. The duty for importing vehicles 15 years or older is 100% of the declared value of the vehicle, or $5,000 per vehicle. According to Matson's local agent Frank & Sons, almost 200 vehicles were imported to the island in 2024, and since the beginning of this year, 74 vehicles have been shipped to Niue. It is not clear how many of those vehicles are 15 years or older. In a public notice issued on the 16th of June, the Customs Office advised members of the public to ensure they comply with the laws to avoid disappointment at the border. Importers are strongly encouraged to consult with the Niue Customs Office before arranging any shipments. This is to ensure that all the necessary requirements are understood and complied with, and also to avoid any disappointment should there be further penalties imposed or your vehicle will be refused entry at the border. With the instability in the Middle East right now, the government issued a travel advisory to all Niue residents intending to travel to the Middle East or transiting through the region en route to Europe. They are asked to exercise heightened caution. Travellers are urged to stay informed and take necessary precautions to ensure safety at all times. The travel advisory issued on the 13th of June advised to avoid booking itineraries with layover or connecting flights in the Middle Eastern hubs such as Doha, Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Istanbul in Turkey. All travellers are encouraged to register your travel plans with the Office of the Secretary to Government and the Department of Foreign Affairs by emailing niue.secgov@gov.nu. This is to ensure that assistance can be provided in cases of emergency and that you can be contacted if necessary. Travellers are also asked to share your travel itinerary with close family and friends before your departure. For emergency assistance and support while overseas, contact the Office of the Secretary of Government and Foreign Affairs on the email niue.secgov@gov.nu. She worked for the government for almost 50 years as a teacher, and just over 40 years she served the Ekalesia Keresiano Niue. Mrs. Vivalia Elesoni Talangi from the village of Makefu was laid to rest on Saturday. Teachers, students, and the Boys and Girls Brigade paid tribute to a teacher and a woman leader in the church for many, many years. The church was full to capacity and people sat outside as they paid respects to one of the longest-serving teachers on the island. Mrs. Viva Elesoni Talangi is one of the generation of teachers who taught in the classrooms for more than 40 years. Mrs. Talangi passed away in Auckland while on a break visiting family overseas. Her body was brought back on Friday last week by her children, her siblings, and the extended family. Our deepest condolences to the family of the late Mrs. Viva Elesoni Talangi. Today, June 26th, is the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. According to the Oceania Customs Organisation, OCO, detection rates remain critically low amongst its 24 member countries, with organised crime generating around 1.6 billion New Zealand dollars annually in New Zealand alone. 600 million comes from drug trafficking. Recent operations show that criminal drug trafficking has grown much larger and more organised. There have been discoveries of new concealment methods showing drugs hidden inside industrial machinery, carpets, vehicle imports, and food products. Smaller Pacific nations face particular challenges with limited personnel and no patrol vessels for territorial waters monitoring. Here's the story. According to the Oceania Customs Organization, current detection rates capture only a fraction of illicit shipments. Joint operations improve detection from around 10% to 35 or 40% in targeted areas, but vast territories remain unmonitored. In a press release, the Oceania Customs Organization, of which Niue is a member, stated that Pacific nations must urgently strengthen maritime enforcement as criminal networks deliberately exploit geographic vulnerabilities, generating unprecedented trafficking of drugs across the Pacific region. Criminal syndicates are exploiting other various concealment methods, including hiding drugs in construction equipment, baby wipes, spices, DVDs, and even passengers' luggage. The Oceania Customs Organization is the regional body for 24 customs administrations in the Pacific region. OCO works to enhance the capacity and capability of its members in border security, trade facilitation, and revenue collection. The Oceania Customs Organization regional office is in Fiji. And in sports, tonight, the Niue Football Association held its AGM, or Annual General Meeting, last Tuesday. They elected a new executive committee. The new president of the Football Association is Mr. Ricky Makani, with Jamal Talangi Vedriaki as vice president and secretary general. The new executive committee acknowledged the former president, Dev Talangi, and the former executive from the past 4 years, Giari Ringamoto, Imani Fagosi Manavalui, John Kaulima, and Thomas Siri. The new executive, led by President Ricky Makani, Vice President and Secretary General Jamal Talangi Vedriaki. The treasurer is Tom Jr. Misikea, with executive members Daifa Kayum Poasa Vedriaki and EJ Strickland. According to their social media update, the meeting also passed the revised constitution for Niue Football Association and will also be updating its registry. And that's our bulletin of BCN News for tonight. We will be back with you on Tuesday next week for a bulletin in Wangahau Niue. But this is all of us from the news team saying good night. Monui Nepo no nofua.